This session was really focused on, if you have an idea, before you wrote a plan, before you went for investment, what are the 5 big things you want to look for? In the sense, how is the industry for you? How can you be sustainable in the future? Even if you're differentiated and you know you can do something differently, is there a market for it? Is there a need? Is there a pain? Will customers buy it? Can you access the customers? So these are the big things that we discuss, and the idea was to take the people through the class and get to try and discuss with the partners whether, for their own purposes and their own ideas, whether this was a viable opportunity. Okay, so we're going to have fun today. We're going to look at 5 big questions. Investors, customers, shareholders, and even Lions Den judges look when they look at a particular plan. And so we're going to go with what we've learned so far. We're going to beat the mindset of your investors, your judges, by literally inferring what they might be looking for. Okay, so here, this is why I was working till 2 o'clock at night. I wanted to do something like build an infographic, something pictorially for you, and then use this concept again and again as we looked at various parts of your competitive strategy. So we know that industry is where you have everybody, your buyers, suppliers, substitutes, rivals, new entrants, and yourself. So that's the whole industry. That's the big thing. Yeah? And we did a tool called industry analysis using Porter's 5 forces model. So that's out there, fine out there. Now, you should be looking at basically the one which has got the big Venn diagram. That's the one you should be focusing on. You got substitutes, you got suppliers as a part of the industry, you got competitors, also known as rivals out there. This purple dot is you, yeah, and your offering. That is, who do you cater to? What are you providing, and how do you do it? And this is your future competitor, someone who's not there today but might be there in the future. Okay, so you comfortable? All the players in the industry, get it? But there's one player missing. That's the market and the buyers within that. So that's the market. Okay? And the red dots are the buyers. Now, they could be bigger, they could be smaller. I'm trying to keep it simple. Now, why have I not shown these in various sizes? Because all these are trying to say is that these are your competitors, but the amount of market share they have and the way they've segmented the market is how we distinguish them. So that's your competitor. That's his or her market share. That's your competitor, his or her market share. That's you. That's the market share you're aiming for. And that's your future competitor and his fledgling little market share in the future. Okay? Comfortable with the picture so far? Never done before like this, but I just wanted to use this as a concept I can sort of repeat and go ahead as we go ahead. Okay. I think a lot of you have answered that already. Fast. What was the market yesterday? Where is it going? Yeah, which one would you rather be? The one at the bottom? Why? Because you want to be a part of growing market. Because when the market is growing, opportunities will continue to happen. Because if the market is shrinking, it's a bit like a collapsing universe, right? It's only going to hit a singularity at some point. Yeah, which means that everything in it is not going to survive. So you don't want to be in the bookstore market. You want to be in the market. That's right. Okay. So what you've got to do here is, for your idea, how has it grown so far? And that's real evidence you can collect. Right? And then you do a little bit of crystal ball stuff, right? And there are plenty of companies that will help you. There's Gartner, there's Forrester, and your mentors will help you where to get the source. Companies will predict growth for the future based on what trends they're seeing. So again, what you want to do, you want to be in a market which, if it's like this today, is the one that's predicted to grow tomorrow rather than predicted to decline. able to access those customers. So they call this market, actually the term that's become popular now is who's your target customer, not your target market. Who's your target customer? Do you know the names and addresses of the first 10 customers you will target the moment your product is ready? Can you talk to them now? Because the worst thing we want to do is borrow money from friends, family, and then fools, and from other investors, dilute a stake, take a huge amount of a loan, build a huge inventory of products, and then wait for customers and nobody comes, right? That's the last thing you want to do. Yeah? So who are your 10 customers? Yeah? Okay? So whenever you think of an idea, don't, think of not only doing it differently, is it solving something that's a pain or a need, something that the customer is willing to shift to your product, something they're willing to pay for, and your ability to basically advertise to them and have access to them. Okay? So, again, it's out here. Is there a genuine customer need, a pain? Will they prefer your offerings to others? Willingness to pay the price for what you think? And that's, again, you can do it on a survey, right? Anybody say, yeah, I'll pay whatever, 69 pounds for this application, no, no sweat. When you ask people to spend money and actually do it, story is different. People hate parting with money. So the third part is the big industry analysis. I'll run over this. If you haven't been for a couple of the other sessions, no problem. We can do it very simply. Your market may be basically these people supplying your buyers and your competitors coming in. That may be your market. But the industry, as we discussed, was much larger. So when you come into the industry, there are really two questions you want to answer. Firstly, what's your vantage point? Yeah? You are not an established firm. You're most likely going to be a new entrant into the market, right? That's your vantage point. And then you've got to look at who holds market power. Is it the suppliers? Is it the buyers? Is there too much rivalry? Who holds market power? Is there a monopoly sitting out there in the center that you cannot beat? Okay? So back to Charlotte's point about well-being. If you're coming in with a particular idea and your buyer is NHS, then they have a huge bargaining power because they can pretty much decide anything. They can decide not to buy it, decide to buy it for pennies. Yep. So, and you don't have much. Similarly, suppliers and substitutes can have very powerful effects out there. You may even go as a supplier or a substitute to a market and then go to the buyer's buyer. Sounds a little tricky, but we will discuss that. But this is basically the industry analysis. Can you enter the market easily? Once you've entered the market, can you create further entry barriers by protecting yourself through patents, etc.? Do you have enough of a supplier base? Are you dependent only on one supplier? Right? And if the supplier suddenly decides not to do business with you, increases their prices, you become unprofitable. Not a good idea. Is there something that can come from left field that you didn't know? I will look at an example of that. And do you have enough buyers, which is why a large market with lots of buyers is a good thing. So why and why now? Is the market large and growing? Is the market offering solving a real customer need that someone will pay money for? Is the industry attractive and can you defend yourself against it? And that moves us into the last bit of the session, which is micro-industry attractiveness. That's today and tomorrow. So here was your little future competitor who came in. You were coming in too. And he suddenly rose. And your competitor rose and the government dominated your market. What's happened over here? You've not been able to defend your position. And the common term used for this is your business anybody? Sustainable. Do you have a competitive advantage? And is your business? And you have to figure out your defensive strategy for the future. And again, for Lions Den, it will be something that will come up. How how are you innovative today, and how will you continue to innovate over time so that your business continues to run like a successful one, so that you don't get eaten by competition in the future. So these are the 4 things that we discussed. And the last one really is your team. And in your team, it is the aspiration and mission and the risk propensity for the individuals. But from a Lions Den perspective, it'll be, are the people, can they execute the critical success factors in this industry? The last mind thing is, remember, right in lecture 1 or session 1, we said it is the idea, product, team, execution. Yeah? So if you can't get all these 5 right, the minimum you need to get right, which if you don't and you will fail, is, can you get to those customers? Because you don't have customers, there's no business, regardless of how the market will turn in the future. And are you able to execute? Right? So if you look at these 5, and if you were forced to think about 2, these 2 are the most important.
And I think part of the next few weeks is going to be them working with their mentors to refine it further. Next session we're going to do is on idea generation and how to borrow ideas from different industries to make successful businesses in whichever space they operate.